I want you to turn with me to Ephesians chapter 2. I'm going to read from verse 19 to 22. And it says, "Now therefore you are no longer strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and members of the household of God, having been built on the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone." So here God is saying that, hey, you are not an outsider. You belong to the house of the Lord. You are a fellow citizen with the saints and the members of the household of God. So God is saying, hey, know who you are. Now is not the time for you to get out of church, to stay isolated. Yes, there might be some difficult people, but push yourself, because remember, you are a citizenship of heaven. That is your identity. Your identity is not which family you come from, your background is. Your identity is that you're a citizenship of heaven. So your citizenship is of heaven, not your Indian status, not your Indian citizenship, not your Canadian citizenship, not your UK citizenship, but the fact that you are a fellowship, you're a citizenship of heaven. So you're not a stranger, you're not a foreigner, so you're not an outsider. I was watching a video and this lady was saying that she's a Christian. She feels very lonely because she goes to church but she hasn't clicked with anybody. Either people are married or people are busy with their lives. And so she always goes church hunting. She keeps going church after church because she feels lonely. But I'm like, wait, something is wrong here. If your understanding is that you have to go to church and feel like you need to click and you need to have that best friend, then you miss the whole point. Yes, you need to have fellowship. You need to have friends, godly friends. But at the end of the day, there is only one person who is your actual friend, and that is really the Lord. But that being said, you have to make it a point to learn to get along with people, because that's just how we are supposed to be. See, what are you going to do in heaven? Are you going to be like, oh, I don't like this certain group of people, so I need to find a dwelling? No. When you're in heaven, you have to get along with everybody. You have to make sure that there is no bad blood with one another. You have to be friends with everybody, because in heaven that you can't give excuses. So you better practice that in your church, in your household. You better practice that in your church with your fellow members, because you can't give that excuse in heaven. And then it goes on to say, having been built on the foundation of the apostles and prophets. So thank God you have your founders, your apostles and your prophets and your leaders that is there, who is building the foundation for your church. And Jesus Christ, our chief cornerstone, in whom the whole building being fitted together grows into a holy temple of the Lord. So basically God is saying all this is what builds a temple, because we have our church members, we have the saints, we have our founder, we have our apostles and our prophets and our leader, in whom you're being built together for a dwelling place of God in the Spirit. You have come together to become a dwelling place for the Spirit of God to move and dwell. So God is saying, this conference, I have called you together so that I can be a dwelling place among you. So each and every one of you, as you come together, as you gather together as daughters, as kings, as a holy nation, as a royal priesthood, as a chosen nation, that we come together. And God is saying, I want to dwell my presence in your midst. So do you hear the heart of God, church? Do you hear the mind of God? As I'm declaring this word, God is saying, I want to be a dwelling place. As I dwell in you, can you make yourself available? Can you make yourself aware? Can you stop living as victims? Can you stop focusing on your problems? Because God is saying, I want to release more of my glory to you. But can you let go of everything that is holding you down? Can you surrender? God is saying, I want to dwell in you. Psalms 91 says, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. So God is saying, if you make him his dwelling place, if you dwell in the shelter, if you find your safety and security should be in God. It should not be just in your leaders and your pastors, but it should be in God. See, I'm not saying you shouldn't reach out to them for help. That's not what I'm saying. But ultimately, when you can dwell in Him, when you can learn to dwell in Him, then He becomes your refuge. See, the thing is, when there is a wall that is built for a city, it is protected. Aliens, it is protected from people, from foreigners coming into the city, because there is a wall that is built around. So that means it's protected. So God is saying, just like that, if you can make me your wall, make me your fortress, if you can learn to make me your dwelling place, where when you are going through stuff, who is the first person that you call upon? Who is the first person that you go to? Who is the first name that comes on your lips? Can you make me your dwelling place? If you can just dwell in the shelter of the Most High God, then you will abide in the shadow. Imagine that wall. If you can just dwell in that shelter where you know that, yes, you might not know your future. The future is uncertain. The uncertainty of life, the fear of future. You don't know who is the person that you're going to get married to. You don't know what course you have to do. You don't know what job you have to take. You don't know about your children. You don't know future. You don't know what's going to happen to your life. But God is saying, can you make me your shelter? And then it says, then you will abide in the shadow, because it's just in His shadow that you need to rest, because His shadow is enough to protect you, child of God. God is saying, my shadow is enough. God's shadow is enough for you to abide, because that's how majestic God is. But in order for you to do that, you need to make Him His refuge and His fortress. When you can make Him His refuge and fortress, then you will be able to trust in Him better. Obviously, it is when you trust in Him where you will be able to abide in Him, and then God will be able to dwell in you, and then God will be able to manifest in you in ways that you can't even comprehend, in ways that you can't even imagine, child of God. So daughter, I want you to know that God calls you by your name, and He calls you, you're favored, you are loved, and you're precious in His sight, and that you are never insignificant in the eyes of the Lord, that He chose you to dwell His Spirit, and He wants to dwell in you, child of God.
As the river flows, begins to bring every